Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show. Everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass because, guys, 34 years ago I was a dumbass, but today, 34 years later, through the grace of God, I can honestly say now I'm a smartass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this. There are a lot of people out there struggling, a lot of people out there that need help. I'm a nutritional health coach. I'm a recovery coach. All my services to you are free. Please, please reach out. And guys, if you think my book can help someone, because I sure do, you can go right to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can go to my website, www.geripetito.com. My book is now on audio. And guys, it's my voice. Simon & Schuster wanted to do it with someone else's voice, and I was like, no way. My producer, Ruben Rodriguez, part owner of Hamilton Radio, owner of Iron Horse Films, is now doing audiobooks with your voice. So if any authors are interested, please, please reach out. Before I introduce my guest, I want to give a shout out to just my newest sponsor. So, Robert Sweeney, retired U.S. Air Force, one-man band, guitar player, writer, producer, AI digital creator. He made an AI theme song for me, which we are going to be playing at the end of the show. It is so ridiculously cool. I didn't even know he was making it. It was a great surprise. He also made a theme song for the Jersey Devil, and he's hoping to make that into a movie. Explore powerful stories of love, loss, and legacy through his music and videos on YouTube and Spotify. Let's bring these emotional and thought-provoking tales to life. So thank you, Robert Sweeney. So now, guys, I want to introduce my incredible guest because to me, he's a hero as well. Okay, so
Thank you.
are. He's a retired NYPD. He's got so many accolades. Writer, baseball coach, mental health, bullying. Okay,
Wait, what? I'm not a bully.
No, you're not a bully. So we titled the show Blue Circle of Trust for a reason. So everybody, Vince Scotto, say hello.
Hello.
So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Sure. Not to correct you, but when you mentioned the mental health, it's actually, they call it law enforcement coach.
Yep.
I work for a subcontract with a company where we work with officers throughout the country in a mental wellness capacity. It could be work-life balance. It could be financial health. It could be physical, emotional, what have you. And I'm very passionate about that because of my own trials and tribulations as well as my own service within the New York City Police Department. Would you like me to go back to the beginning?
I want to ask you a couple questions, and then I do want you to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Okay, so, you've had some struggles with mental health as well?
Yes.
Were you also bullied?
Oh, no.
Okay,
No.
okay. I want to share a bully story with you real quick, and then we're going to go back to the beginning with you.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
So, I was born in Long Island City, New York, and I am going to be 65 years old. I'm saying that for a reason. I was a tough kid, and I was this tiny little thing, but my brother was obese from birth. He was like 13 pounds at birth, so they didn't really know what to do back then. He's a year and a half older than me. All right, he's still with us. He's fine. But he was bullied his whole childhood in New York. And my dad was a tough Italian guy from Italy. So my brother would come home crying because this brother and sister bullied him a lot. And my dad would yell at him and say, but you're bigger than everybody. Hit them. Don't let them bully you. You know what I mean?
Stuff it on.
Okay. So he was crying so bad that night that I actually said to God, okay, God, I'm going to die tomorrow, but I don't care. Now, we went to Catholic school, and my mom would walk us around the corner, okay, to go to school and have to hold his hand because he was a big baby, all right? So this particular day, we walk around, and I run past him, and I'm in my little uniform, and I'm like, I'll meet you there, I'll meet you there. And I deliberately went to the stoop of where the girl lived, and she was very tall, to me 6 feet, right? And I climbed up on the awning, the little railing, and I'm holding onto the awning. She comes out, and I punched her right in the face. She gets on top of me and beats the crap out of me. I didn't care. She ripped my uniform. My mother comes around screaming. She runs off. I'm bleeding. I don't care. I don't care. I got one shot in, and I got one shot in. Long story short, I decided I was going to beat the bullies. Even though I couldn't beat them up, they were bigger than me, but I was going to hit the bullies. I even tied one up. Well, I ended up in court at 10 years old with my brother and my dad. I got a juvenile delinquent card at 10 years old in Long Island City. I am so proud of it, but I wish I still had it. So I called the Long Island City Police Department about a year ago. Do you know they were trying to find it for me as a souvenir? And I will never forget when the judge handed it to my father, he winked at me, like, good job. But this is the most important part of the story, and then I'm going to give you the mic. On Facebook recently, I saw this person's name, and I reached out to her. Her brother, who was the other bully, he's gone. He died in prison, okay? And I said to her, do you remember me? And she said, of course. And I said, please call me. And she's first words out of her mouth is, Jared, please apologize to your brother. We were so bad. Bullies are hurt people, and they were beat so bad by their father. And when they were bad, he used to put their hands over fire on the stove. So hurt people, and heal people, heal people. And that's just a story I wanted to share in the beginning of all this, because bullies need love as well, and they're being maliciously bullied. And that's what makes them become bullies. So I had to share that with you, Vince.
Thank you.
So now you take the mic and go back to the beginning.
Sure. So, like you, Jerry, I went to Catholic school. Come from an Italian Catholic family, close-knit family, and I've had my share of encounters with, I guess, what you would call a bully. My sister is a year older than me, and very good-hearted, was on the shy side growing up, and would get picked on from time to time.
Okay.
And there were times when my dad would come to me and he would say, he goes, you need to stick up for your sister if you see anything go down in school. So I've had some of those encounters, and for whatever reason, I really truly believe it has to do with the way we were raised. My mom and dad raised us to be proud of who we were, and I'm very grateful for that. And I always remember this: never let anyone treat you less than what you are. And I took that to heart. So when it came to points in my life growing up, whether it be a bully situation, something within the family, I really kind of ran with that. And it served me well throughout my life. Not to jump around, but when you were telling your story, I write these kind of humorous stories based upon my experience with the New York City Police Department. But when I really, really started to drill this down, thinking about my own trajectory, how it all kind of started, they say that a lot of times there's childhood experiences, in some cases trauma, that lead you in different directions.
Yes.
Now, in my particular case, it wasn't trauma, but it was a specific experience that I actually wrote about, and it's called Walking Home. And I'm just going to share with you briefly why this all ties
please,
in.
Of course.
So I was getting ready to go to kindergarten, leaving the home for the first time in my life, outside of going places with my parents, and my grandparents had lived with us. My sister had gone to this particular kindergarten the year prior, so now it was my turn. But I knew the whole routine. I just wanted to go on the bus. I didn't care about matriculating with the other kids. I was excited about going on the bus. So when it was my turn to leave the nest, I remember my mother and my grandfather bringing me to the bus stop and getting on the bus. Now, the piece that I wanted to reference, and this is where it kind of will be tied together, they were always concerned, the school, if you didn't know your bus stop. So to make things easy, they had these little oak tag apples that you colored in, and then on the back of the oak tag apple was your stop. In my mind, I only remembered my sister's stop. My stop happened to be a block later. So now this is where it gets interesting. I'm a little kid. I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. They dress me, this is 1974. They dressed me like a little junior CEO, slacks and a shirt and a vest and all this other stuff. And I'm uncomfortable, but I'm excited to get on the bus. I get on the bus. I'm coming home that day, and I was so stubborn and set in my ways at that young age that I didn't want to have anyone think that I didn't have it figured out. So I didn't know where my bus stop was. Is it the same one as my sister? Is it another one? I refused to look at the apple. God forbid I showed the bus driver my apple. In my mind, people are watching me. I got this covered. I get off my sister's bus stop, and my mother's not there, my grandfather's not there, and in my little brain, I'm like, they left me here. I know where I am. I have spatial orientation. I walk home. It's about 4 blocks. I'm sitting on the stoop. It's an Indian summer, September, and I'm just waiting. Clear as could be. Well, if you're a parent, I think you could appreciate this. Showing up at your 5-year-old child's bus stop and there's no child, you panic. Now, I know as a parent myself, I would have had my heart in my throat. At the time, I didn't realize this. I realize it now. Probably, I would say about 10 minutes go by, maybe 15. I had no key to get in the house. I wasn't a latchkey kid. I'll never forget this. They come flying up the block. It almost looked like the car was on fire. My mother got out of the car before my grandfather even stopped the car and was running towards me. I can't even imagine what she was feeling. Thank God my grandfather was there. He was the voice of reason, and he got out real quick, because now I'm thinking to myself, I'm in trouble here. It kind of dawns on me, I screwed up. He said to my mother, "You're never going to have to worry about this one. He's going to be fine." I share all this because that was a pivotal moment in my life at that very young age. I took it as a red badge of courage that I didn't need anyone. I could do it alone. He instilled that in me just by saying that to my mom. I share all this because fast forward, I lived my life like that for a very long time until about the age of 35, when I got hit with some difficult challenges in my life. I was going through a tenuous divorce. I did not have the skills or the tools to work through a challenging time because I had never faced anything, for me, challenging. And I come from a generation where, not to make this a sexist thing, but my generation of man doesn't talk about problems. It was the rub some dirt on it kind of way of going about it. And I can look back on that and realize that that wasn't the best way to go about it. And I realize now, whether it be men of this generation or people in general, part of our problem is we don't lean on people that can support us and help us through challenging times, whether it be a bully situation, whether it be anything going on that you maybe need some clarity. And it took me a long, long time to realize that. And I still just turned 56 yesterday, and I still have moments where I have to kind of check myself, and I struggle with that. So sorry for being long-winded. it just
But
made me
that's
think.
not long-winded. That's why
Okay.
you're here. You know, they
We're
wanna-
Italian. We could talk all day, right?
That's right, but they want to hear those stories.
Good. That's good. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to just share a little window into something in my early childhood that I can look back on and reflect and kind of pinpoint my way of going about things and maybe why I struggled a little more than I had to during these challenging times, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. So, all right, this is a silly question.
Sure.
After that day, did you get off the right bus stop?
Yes. Actually, no. Wait, hold on.
Wait,
I don't even think I went on the bus again, to be quite honest. I think it was such a traumatic experience for
you
my mother.
decided not to, or your mom?
My mom. Once again, you're dealing with the Italian Catholics.
right,
Very
okay.
protective mother, cop father. I mean, I'm lucky that they let me go anywhere at that young
Okay.
age. So,
Okay, I have another silly question.
sure, sure.
Did you learn that it is okay to ask?
No, Jerry, you know this word in Italian. They call it gabados.
Okay, right.
Hard-headed.
You're stubborn.
I was
Okay.
very stubborn, and I still have a little of that in me,
Okay,
unfortunately.
that's all right.
I digress.
So now, all right, so your dad was a cop,
Yes.
okay? Did he want you to become an officer?
So that's another interesting story,
Yeah.
and I've been asked this on other shows. I never wanted to be police. I was looking to do something different, like maybe go to law school or get in investment banking. I went to college for finance, and it never really dawned on me. But my dad was police. He was very conservative. He kind of, I guess, had to have known about my personality. So, with that said, sorry, is that okay? I feel like I have to face you.
It
It's a
doesn't
little
matter.
awkward.
Go ahead.
And he always said to me as I was getting older and trying to figure it out, hey, take the exam. You never know. This might be something that you might like. And I kind of just pushed it to the side. And then as I was getting ready to graduate college, we had a recession and things weren't so secure in the job market. And I kind of wrapped my head around it a little bit more. So I was living at home at the time, and he had me sign up to take the exam. And I had gone out the night before, so I was a little under the weather. And I
Uh-oh.
remember him coming in, like really something out of a sitcom, like pulling the covers off and you got to take the test. Come on, let's go. And I kind of groggily put myself together and I took the exam. And I actually got called in 1990 and I turned it down because I was still in college and I wasn't really sure if this was for me.
Wait, back up. Did you
Yeah.
pass? I'm sure you
Oh,
did.
yeah, yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah,
We
yeah.
gotta, come on.
So that's what I mean. I got called
Okay.
to go into the,
Yep, yep.
the police academy in 1990
All right.
and I passed on it. Fast forward, I took I don't know why, but I took another exam. I don't know why that was. I don't know if the first one expired. That part I don't remember, but I ended up going on to the New York City Police Department in January of 1992.
2 years later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So, all right. I'm going to just share this, and then I want to know what it was like in New York to be an officer.
Sure.
So my mother's family were criminals. My father's family were amazing, hardworking Italians from Italy, blah, blah, blah. So I had both, okay? And I'm a Pisces, the good fish, the bad fish, all right? So everyone in my mother's family, and I loved most of them, you know, they were lovable people, but they were criminals, okay? So most of them ended up in jail here or there. I'm about 25, 26, and I'm going through some photo albums with my mom, and I see a newspaper clipping, and there's a cop. And I'm like, who's that, Mom? She's like, oh, that was my uncle or cousin or whatever. He was a cop. I go, you had a cop in your family? She goes, read the article. He was put in prison for like 50 years for major counterfeiting. We're talking millions of dollars. I said, well, that makes sense, Mom. So how was it growing up in New York back then and being an officer?
Sure. So just to give you perspective, like I said, I started in 1992.
Yep.
I was assigned to the 6th precinct, which is the Greenwich Village, West Village section of New York City.
I love the village.
And I, some of my fondest memories were there. It's such an eclectic community.
Yep.
It's that bohemian lifestyle, if you will. And there were times where you almost felt like you went back in time, like you were back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of time walking a footpost in Washington Square Park. And just the culture behind it, you still had a lot of old Italian, like delis, like called salamieris,
Oh, yeah.
and a lot of little shops and cafes, little Italian cafes. And the weekends would get crazy busy.
Okay.
So being young, I was 22 years old, and you got this uniform on, and you have this position of authority, and I'm a kid. In my mind, I'm a kid.
Right.
And it was overwhelming at first, but so exciting because you were in the middle of this melting pot, this eclectic environment. And I write about this. It was electric. So those beginning stages of being in the uniform and having a bird's eye view of this city life,
That's pretty cool.
was just tremendous. So that part I recall so well. Now, as far as the day to day, you have to understand in New York City in the early 90s, a little, I don't want to say much different than today. I don't want to sound like that old person.
No, but
"Oh,
it's very different than today. I went to art
yes and no,
school
yeah.
in 79 in the
Okay.
village.
Okay.
Okay, School of Visual Arts. It was very different than today.
Okay. So just to go backwards, um, like I said, it was this eclectic community. You had a lot of actors and actresses that lived in the West Village, and I would come across them by happenstance.
That's so cool.
And I have so many interactions and stories to share, that when I look back, like I have this real vivid recollection, like almost like photographic memory of these times. So the the West Village in the early 90s, Washington Square Park was infamous for drug activity. And it was mostly, pot and stuff like that. And we're young and we got assigned there, almost, I would say 3 days a week, sometimes 3 nights, depending on our schedule. And you'd be running around and chasing these pot dealers, and we would set up these like makeshift operation points from afar to kind of see the hand-to-hand transactions, because at that time we were young and we wanted to make money. If you had an arrest, depending on when you got the arrest, they called it going around the clock. So if you had an arrest, by the time you got to central booking, which was downtown Manhattan, 1 Center Street, to lodge your prisoner and then draw up what they called an accusatory instrument, it's the affidavit, sometimes that would go all night. And I still have these conversations with guys that I worked with at that time. We're still friends and get together and we laugh about those days. Like, I couldn't do it now. You have folding chairs here in the studio. We had to sit on a folding chair and you try to get like shut eye like a couple of hours because you were working around the clock. So when I think about those times, they were exciting, fun, but then again, the work piece and the conditions sometimes really tested your patience because you would be sleep deprived. Sometimes these interactions with some of these people that you'd have to arrest, they would fight, you would get into like little scuffles here and there. So it wasn't always like bright lights, big city. There was the danger aspect. And I kind of play that down because I knew when I went on the police department, this came with the territory. So I never really thought of it that way. But in looking back in retrospect, I think about some of the times that I'd been out there in the field. You're not always going to be the most popular person on the block. If someone's trying to commit a crime and you're in their way, sometimes things can get a little crazy, if that makes sense.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
All right. So, from what I just heard, you guys had to make a certain amount of arrests?
No.
Okay.
So if I can just
Yeah.
go backwards, it how should I put it? There wasn't a quota per se, but if you were in an environment where there was a condition, so in the Washington Square Park area specifically,
Okay.
there was a condition, and that
Okay.
condition was people were selling illegal substances, right? And for the most part, it was marijuana.
Yes.
And at that time, that was considered a big condition
Yes.
because it led to other things. And considering, when I think about it, the NYU, New York University, was part of that community. I think there was some pressure also, some
Okay.
political pressure. Wanted that area to be as clean as it could be,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. So now, all right. I have no clue as to the answer to this, so I'm not asking you to see what you say.
Sure.
All right. So back in the day, did you guys get perks for the amount of arrests you made?
No. So,
Okay,
so,
good.
so maybe I didn't make myself clear. I don't want to go off on a tangent. When you're young and you're kind of like caught up in the moment, and you're only making so much money,
Okay.
and if you're a worker and you want to hustle to make more money, you would be active with trying to make arrests if there was an opportunity to make
Gotcha.
arrests.
Okay.
So at that time, it wasn't difficult to see what we called hand-to-hands going down inside of Washington Square Park.
Okay.
So you would be able, it's almost like shooting fish in a barrel. You'd be able to make these arrests because there were myriad dealers in the park.
Gotcha.
And it was kind of like a cat and mouse game.
Okay.
Sometimes we would catch them, sometimes we wouldn't.
Gotcha.
But if we did, the way the system worked at that time, they were overloaded with arrests in the city. And you only had so many attorneys, they were called ADAs, assistant district
Oh, wow,
attorneys,
okay.
to draw up the arrests. So that's when the overtime piece would come in.
Gotcha.
So if you were the type of person that wanted to make more money, there was opportunity. So
Gotcha.
that is a perk, I
For
guess.
overtime. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So,
I don't want to go off on a tangent, but you asked, so.
No, I just wanted to know. Okay. I'm going to ask you one more question about being an officer then and
Sure.
versus now, and then we can talk about anything else on here you want to
Yeah.
talk about. Okay. So, I know as a mom and
Sorry.
as a grandmother, my grandson's 24. I would never want him to be an officer today, but back then, of course, you'd be proud. What's changed?
So it's interesting you bring that up. I have 3 children of my own, and they're adults now, and I never encouraged them
Yeah.
to go down this road as a profession. And my reasoning might be different from others or similar, but I felt for many, many years that I sold myself short.
Okay.
I thought that there were other things that would have been better for me. And I wrestled with this, and this is very important because it ties into the mental
Okay,
wellness piece. I wrestled with that identity for a very long time. There were moments, there were periods of time where I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Okay.
But then when things got a little frustrating, whether it be with city politics or feeling unappreciated at times, it hit home and it made me question my initial decision. So for me, I didn't want my children to have to go through that kind of those mental gymnastics, if you will.
Okay.
And I didn't discourage, but I didn't encourage either.
Beautiful.
And here's the funny thing too. I've been asked this question. They say that people that take this job, go into this profession, there's various reasons why, but it becomes an identity. And even though I look back now and I can honestly say, and I really, really believe this chose me. There was something in my DNA that brought me to this way of life, this profession. And it took me a long time to realize that in retrospect. I share that because the identity piece is a slippery slope. I never felt that that was my identity. I'm being brutally honest. I was proud of it. I loved wearing the uniform. And it wasn't because of the power piece, it just represented something.
Yes, I agree.
And I still feel that to this day. And I write about this too. The way I was brought up in a middle class Italian Catholic family, we were raised to be, not only were we representing ourselves, we were representing our whole family. And it didn't matter where you were
You're right.
economically speaking. And I share that because your style of dress was so important. So when I think about being on the police department and wearing that uniform, I was not only representing myself, I was representing my family, and I was representing the city of New York. I took that personally. And people that know me will laugh. We used to call it squared away. I was always squared away with my uniform. And here's the other thing. When we talk about how it was, I'm not a big person. I'm 5'8", 5'8.5" on a good day if I'm lucky, but I always kept myself in shape. You're dealing with some dangerous people out there.
Right.
And what I feel saved me with a little buona fortuna from my ancestors, that's good luck for people that don't know Italian. Having that command presence, that style, that look, made the bad guy think twice before they challenged me. So when we talk about what's happening now, and I don't want to be critical, I see a lot of that has kind of gone by the wayside.
I agree.
And I look at it like this. I never understood that. Why would you, if you had an advantage, and it was something so simple as looking professional, acting the part. I'm not saying there's not more to it, but image means a lot. Why would you not give yourself that advantage? So when I see a lot of these YouTube videos, and this is not me Monday morning quarterbacking, and I'm not suggesting that there weren't people during my time that looked like unmade beds, unfortunately, but that's not how I carried myself. And not to make it about me, I just think about that. And when I write about it or I'm asked these questions, it's an important piece. But getting back to the initial question with not encouraging my children, I didn't want them to struggle. And I felt, even though it's a good profession, there was a struggle. I tell people now, and I kind of say it tongue in cheek, it took me a long time to become a human being again. They took their pound of flesh.
Whoa.
When I say that, and I'm not blaming anyone. I will never point the finger at the police department for some of the things I struggled with. What I'm saying is, when you wear that uniform, even though it comes off after you tour, it doesn't come off. It changes you in a way where you find yourself having to, when you're working, you're in a position of power and control. You go to a scene of an incident, you have to take control. Sometimes you have to make quick decisions. Now, you tell me, Geri, you're doing that day in and day out, 8.5 hours a day. Yeah, you take the uniform off, but now when you go home and now you're integrating with your family,
tough.
It's not easy
It's
to
tough.
turn that off.
Yep, it's tough.
And for me, that was the Achilles heel. I realize now, and it took many, many years to understand this and really do the work, the self work, that part affected me on a personal level,
Okay.
where my intimate relationship suffered. I changed, and I didn't realize it until I was on the other side, if that makes sense.
Yes. of
So
course.
the exclamation here is, I did not want my children to have to go through the mental gymnastics of that.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course, of course.
So now, the mic is yours. What do you want to talk about on here? There's so much.
Oh God. So I'm looking at your paper. You have nice penmanship, by the way. Catholic school, obviously. So I see baseball coach, and why that is important. I grew up loving baseball. I had a very close relationship with my grandfather. My grandparents lived with us, and he was a baseball guy, and he would quiz me as a kid. He would give me the name of the player and their nickname, and then he would either give me the player's name or the nickname, and I would have to say the reverse. So, for example, it was like, who's the Splendid Splinter? And that was Ted Williams. Who's the Iron Horse? That was Luke Gehrig. Who's the Georgia Peach? That was Ty Cobb. Trying to think of something else.
What if you got it wrong?
Oh no, it was just, he would just correct
It's
me.
just fun.
Yeah, no. He. So it's funny. My father would tell stories about how strict my grandfather was with him. My grandfather, at one point in his life, drove a bread truck, and my father, at a young age, was obsessed with driving the truck. I think it had I don't know if it was a 3-speed transmission, but it was like a stick shift. And all my father wanted to do was drive the truck. So my grandfather would let him come out on mornings, and you had to have whatever money they collected, it had to be to the penny. And my father made sure it was to the penny, where my uncle, my father's younger brother, wasn't always the case with him.
Okay.
So there was some funny stories with that. I don't want to
Okay.
get into that, but I share that when I came along, I'm the grandson. He was a little softer with us. So one of the running stories, I had a baseball glove that I left out overnight, and it disappeared. And my father was so mad at me, and he wasn't going to get me another glove. And my grandfather said, he's just a kid. Get him another glove. And he gave him money to get a glove. So that's grandpa, right? And I'm sure I will be the same way
Yep.
if and when I have grandchildren.
Yep.
Hopefully not anytime soon, because I don't want to get that old that quick.
Oh yeah, listen.
So the baseball. Always had baseball in our life growing up. All my friends played. We, in our minds, were all going to become major league players. It was almost like comforting. I remember as a little kid, now that I'm thinking of it, where if I was struggling with something benign, I would dream that I was actually playing in a game.
Oh, that's cool.
And being successful. So somewhere, like I said, in my DNA, this was very a passionate part of my life. Fast forward, I have 2 sons and a daughter, and I played sports with them since they were little. I coached my sons. I actually worked part-time for a facility, a training facility, where I was working with high school athletes.
Okay.
And in some cases, further down the line after that, working with some collegiate athletes. And basically, for me, it was about the hitting. I'm a fanatic with hitting.
Okay.
And I played a little bit, not of any high level, but as an adult, I found a newfound love for it as an older person, and I started playing in these different tournaments and stuff in different leagues. So it was something that we shared within the household. Why is that important? I felt it then. I still feel it to this day. There are a lot of life lessons that I feel we learn through sports. It's not about the wins and the losses, even though it's good to be competitive, I feel. I would find these moments of lessons through the interweaving of sports, specifically baseball. And that I love. So I love working with people that I could be vulnerable. It's not like I have all the answers or I'm the be all end all, but to see someone struggle, let's say in this case with sports, and kind of flip it and kind of give them some clarity and give them some encouragement, it's like my lifeblood. And I only share that because it's carried over into this coaching with law enforcement personnel, and me taking that next step and really writing about my experiences, because this is a very important thing. I feel I do this, the writing. It's not about me just making people laugh, but I feel the laughter brings the temperature down. So if I share one of these stories with someone, maybe they weren't even part of this experience, maybe they didn't even wear the uniform, but there's a human element to it that now we build this kind of camaraderie, and now we peel back the layers of the onion to talk about what's behind the curtain. And it's, Jerry, when I tell you, it's like magic. I've seen this play out, and when I realized the power behind this storytelling, I started leaning in more. It's not easy, but it's also therapeutic for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I found that I had this knack. So this is not me plugging me. It's just sharing the ability to be able to spin a tale and bring people in, and you never know what direction it's going to go in.
You could plug you, honey. I have a basketball story for you.
Okay.
So
I'm not a big fan of basketball,
I'm only
but okay.
5'3" now. I thought I was always 5'4". I'm 5'3", I was told. All right. And I loved basketball, and I was a good player. My grandson is 24. He's incredible. But we take shots, and I've kicked his butt a few times. And one day he's like, I'm done. You are, grandma is, he calls me mom. No grandmother is beating me today. And he kicked my butt that day. But I used to work at the Robbinsville schools about 15 years ago. They brought in the new Harlem Globetrotters. Okay, so I come walking into the cafeteria, and all the little kids, give the ball to Miss Jerry, because I used to play with them. The guy had to be 7 feet tall. Now, he was with the smaller guy who might have been 6'5", okay? So here I come walking in, and they're looking at each other like she's, So they give me the ball, and he gets the ball, and he comes right next to me. And he's a giant. He takes a shot and deliberately misses. Of course, he deliberately misses. I already knew that. We're half court. So out loud, I'm going like this. All right, Lord, listen. If I never get another shot ever again, I don't care about beating Christian. I got to get this shot in, and they're all laughing. I got the shot in, half court. So my mouth to God's ears, listen, I look at the shorter one who's like, 6'5", and I'm like, you saw that, right? He's like, honey, not only did I see that.
Where's the video?
Yeah, well, a friend of mine had a video back then, and so he goes, not only did I see that, everyone's going to know now. So I'm looking at the guy, and I'm like, see?
So you know the comedian Sebastian Maniscalco.
Oh, my God, I've seen him a ton of times.
Me as well. So he does this bit where he's going to play basketball. He's a kid, and he's terrible. And he's hot, and he's, you know how he is.
Yes,
He uses his hands.
I love it.
So he goes, when was the last time you saw someone scream at an NBA game, take the shot, Nunzio? Italians don't play basketball.
That's right.
And I didn't want to interrupt you, but
No,
but that's what I was
Of
thinking. I
course.
wanted to say,
That's
Jerry,
so
Italians don't play
That
basketball.
was so funny. I love that. So now, all right. So now,
Working our way.
working our way. I want to talk about the mental health.
Yes.
You talked a little bit about.
Sure,
But come
sure.
on, let's talk about it.
Okay.
And this will
We
help
working here?
people.
Did I lose my mic here?
Wait. No, you're
Oh,
good.
okay.
Yeah. So just so you know, Vince,
Yes.
say whatever you want to say.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
say what you don't. Somebody out there needs to hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
And I appreciate you prefacing that.
Yes.
This is not me on my soapbox, and how we got together in this organic way
Give a shout out to Karen.
Yes.
Hey,
Give her
girl.
a shout.
Karen Geller, how you doing, girl? She was supposed to be here with us today, but couldn't make it.
Yeah, Karen, we miss you. So Karen reached out to me through LinkedIn a few months back. I guess she saw on my profile that I was former New York City police, and she had spent a brief stint with the police department before she decided to go in different direction. And we got on a call. It was very organic, and we were just talking about different things. And she shared me with the sorry, she shared with me that you have this radio program, and she thought that it would be really good to connect with you. And obviously we did, and here I am. So first of all, I'm very grateful for both of you.
So am I. So am I.
And I know when I say it's not about me, that's very important, and I need to explain why. My axe to grind in this whole thing is to lead with vulnerability. I feel there's a key component with leading with vulnerability. If I could speak to people, whether it be face to face, via this vehicle of the radio, my involvement with LinkedIn, podcasts, and such, I could be honest and straightforward and share my experience with my own struggles with mental health and how that ties in with the first responder community. Because this I know. I walked in their shoes. I might not have the full knowledge of each and every little experience out there, but I do know this. Regardless of what you might be struggling with, when you're in that deep, dark place, I know what that feels like. And I'm not ashamed to admit this.
No.
And I wasn't there just once. I was there twice. Once while I was active with the New York City Police Department, and once on the other side. So we're dealing with two components here. We're dealing with the first responders while they're active, and then what happens when the uniform comes off and they're on the other side of a career. I never realized how difficult that was going to be until I was living it. The camaraderie piece that was missing, the sense of purpose that went away, and I had to deal with that. So, to just go back, I felt it was extremely important to try to pay this forward based upon my own struggles and some of the things that I had to go through, and just cut to the chase right here. I shared earlier, I was going through a divorce, and I had three young children. At the time, they were very young, or relatively young, and I lost sight of who I was.
Okay.
I fell into a very deep depression.
Okay.
And by the grace of God and some help from some people,
Yep.
they connected me with a peer support group within the New York City Police Department, and that was a start. I met with a retired officer who kind of like tried to just talk me through some things. It wasn't enough. I was subsequently connected through our employee relations division, a clinician who worked with me. I was put on some mood-altering medication. My serotonin levels were off. I needed something to take the edge off. And you have to understand, for me, that was monumental.
I'm sure it was.
At no point in my life, and it goes back to that story
Right.
with walking home, I did not want to rely on anyone for anything, especially something as sensitive and what might have felt like embarrassing at the time. But I did realize this, and I'm not special. Something within me knew that if I did not take these steps, I would not be here. And I'm not saying this for dramatic effect. What I'm saying is that if you find yourself in a place where it feels like the walls are closing in, find someone to help you. Share it with someone you trust. Sometimes you have to let go. Now, I understand the professions that we're talking about, they use the word stigma. I don't really care for that word, but everyone knows that word. And part of the problem is you don't want to share with your agency or maybe people that you work with because you don't want to be labeled.
Right.
You don't want to be put in a situation where now your livelihood is at stake. But here's the thing. A lot of agencies are forward thinking now. There are a lot of programs out there. Even if you feel like you have nowhere to turn, you have to sometimes take a leap of faith and realize where you're at. It's okay to feel these feelings, but when we don't take constructive action or allow someone to help us in the direction we need to go in, and we just bury that feeling, nothing good comes from that. And I am proof of that. I'm not saying that I'm unique in any way, but one thing I am willing to share is how I got there, how I came out, how I got back there again, and how I worked through that. And I didn't do it alone. It wasn't like I am this super strong person and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to grit my teeth and bear it. I actually had to learn to lean on other people.
Yeah.
So when I share that story, and it came to mind because you talked about a story in your childhood, this played a recurring theme throughout my life until I had to deal with something head on, something I struggled with. And when I talk about the second go around, I was on the other side of a police career. My children were older at this point. They didn't need me the way I'm still their dad, but they're taking that next step towards the next part of their life. They don't need me as much. And now I was in a second intimate relationship that went sideways. And it's like the wheels came off. And I felt like I was back where I started. And then you go through this rumination of the would'ves, the could'ves, the should'ves, and you're on this hamster wheel. And it just started getting darker and deeper. And I found myself in that place again, almost even worse. And thank God my mom and dad, my sister, other people in my life were there. And I was willing to let go. And I was in a situation where I was going to not only group therapy, but one-on-one. And I started getting my strength again because I realized I had a story to tell. I realized that I could help others
Yep.
by sharing my vulnerability. And it was amazing. It wasn't the be all end all. I still had to do a lot more self work, and I started journaling, which kind of led down the direction of
Yep.
where I'm writing now,
Yep.
and some other coping skills, mindfulness and gratefulness and different things. And these aren't just words, and I'm not just saying it because it sounds good. They work. It worked for me. That doesn't mean what I did will work for other people, but at least to have that conversation and talk about things that I might have experienced that might be able to help someone else, or at least do some active listening and kind of peel back the layers, kind of put the pieces together and offer some constructive thoughts to provide clarity, if that makes sense.
Beautiful.
So I say all this, it's become something that I feel this is where I need to be.
Okay.
And it is frustrating at times because there are people out there that um, I call it the dog and pony show. It's about them. It's about being sensational. It's about smoke and mirrors. That's not the answer. The answer is having the real conversations. That when Geri Petito asks me a specific question, I don't dance around it. I give her a direct, honest answer. That's what people want. People
That's
want
what people want.
honesty. So if there is anyone out there right now that needs clarity and looking to cut through the you know what, the BS, I am more than willing to have those conversations and to offer clarity and support. Not that I am going to have all the answers. It's not about that. But if we don't have the conversation, how do we get to the answer?
That's right.
Right? How do we get the clarity? And make no mistake about it. Just because in my particular case, I'm talking about first responders, I'm a firm believer no matter where you are in life, economically or other, we all have moments in our life where we question things. We have regrets, perhaps. We are lost. I've spoken to plenty of people that when you look on the outside, they look like they have it all figured out. Right? But we all know you can't judge a book by its cover, as they say. And we've experienced this in life. And without naming names, a lot of well-known people have suffered with mental illness.
Right.
I don't want to call it an illness.
Robin
It's
Williams.
I didn't want to say his
Well, we
name,
can
but I
say his
thought of
name
him.
because, listen, we all loved him. You know what I mean? And look. So yes.
And I feel people are hiding in plain sight, if that makes sense.
Right.
And I'm not saying we want to out anyone, but
Right.
we want to be able to identify problems and work towards solutions, not throw money at problems, not feed people junk food. This is another thing I say. There's a lot of these conferences out there, and they put on this show. They have a keynote speaker, and it's all this rah, rah, rah. Yeah, it's like junk food. It tastes good when it goes down, but then your stomach hurts after. I want to be part of the solution where we have a collective of people that are working together, clinicians, former first responders, current first responders, various people like yourself that are they have their heart in the right place to get the message out and have those conversations and help the people that need to be helped. That have them be able, when we speak to them, they can walk away with something, a step in the right direction, right? We crawl before we walk, before we run. And I remember being in that place where I didn't know where to turn. And I remember like praying at night. And I'm not an overly religious person. I believe in a higher power, but having that conversation where, please give me something to move forward just a little bit. And I'd like to be someone that could help someone when they are in the dark, to provide that flashlight, to be someone like that.
I have to read a poem based on what you're saying.
Do it.
Okay, I'm going to be reading a different poem that I planned, but now I have to read this. So I wrote this for people who feel like they're hopeless. Okay? If that's you, listen to every word of this. It's called Put Down the Gun. And the gun can be anything you're choosing to end your life with, right? I had to have this purple gun, because I actually have a purple gun. I had to have this purple gun just in case my life was done. I kept it safe, locked in my room, because I was filled with gloom and doom. Yes, there were times that I just knew if I loaded it up what I could do, but I kept on hearing that gentle voice, put down that gun, you have that choice. Life may seem hard at the end of the day, but that's when you need to really pray. Dear Father, I beg you to show me the truth. How can life be so bad when I'm only a youth? Get rid of that gun and go take a shower. Ask someone for help. You do have that power. They need to know that they can ask someone for help.
Without a doubt.
Right?
Without a doubt. And not for us to keep going back
Right.
there. But it's such a crucial piece to
Yeah.
this. And that's why I'm very open with anyone asking me about particulars with my own journey. Uh, I think that there's power in that
There is.
because it allows people space to have grace with themselves, to press pause in that moment, to listen to someone else that has been in their shoes and is not just feeding them junk food. They're actually acknowledging that, yeah, we all go through times when we feel less than. And we're working through something that seems monumental. And it feels sometimes like maybe we're gasping for breath.
Yeah.
But we have to rub dirt on it because we don't know any other way to deal with it. And that's a problem, right? And that's something that I personally feel we can be better at, we can work through, we can help those that do so much for us. You know, I'm not active anymore as far as, you know, my service. And this is kind of, not that I'm reinventing myself, but it's a way that, like I said, I could pay it forward.
Right.
And I could be someone to, like I said, provide some clarity. And not to sound like a broken record, but I can't, when I tell you, Jerry, like as we're sitting here, I get so passionate
Yep.
about this
Yes.
because I know that feeling and I wouldn't wish it on
Yes.
anyone. And I know as we sit here, there are people right now, whether
That's
they're
right.
watching, listening,
That's
or
right.
wherever they are, they're having those moments.
That's right.
And I would be remiss if I didn't lean in and put myself out there to be part of the solution.
What I want you to do, we're going to talk
Yeah.
about your book next, but what I
Well,
want,
not a book yet.
well, right, right, but wait. I want
Yes.
you to tell everyone right now how to reach out to you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and that's probably the best way to connect with me. You can IM me at Vincent Scotto, VINCENT SCOTTO. My bio's on there, some of the content that I've posted, and you could reach out that way. That's the best way.
Okay.
I could give an email address
Go
if
ahead.
that's
Give whatever you want.
yeah. So I had this domain site which I don't really use much, so I'll just give you my email address. It's V Scotto SCOTTO 195 at gmail.com. That's like most direct, other than LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So now tell me about what's happening with this book that you're writing. Come on.
Okay. So
Oh, wait, before you do that,
Yeah.
wait.
no,
wait.
don't do it.
No. Before you do that, look, I noticed.
Yeah.
You're playing. He's playing. Listen, he's playing with a ring. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Ah, that's a good song.
I had the.
Did you
ringer
do that on
down.
purpose?
I had the ringer down. Such
It
a
was
night.
a night.
Such a night is.
Oh, what a night it was! It really was such a night.
Come on.
No. Go with the ring.
All right, so he's got this ring he's playing with TCB. Are you kidding me? All right. So
TCB, taking care of business. Elvis Presley
okay.
gave it to the Memphis Mafia.
All
I
right.
didn't get it from him.
All right. So just
Yeah.
give us another 30 seconds or something.
No.
You just did, so you can give us another 30. Come on.
What do you want?
Anything. I don't care. Come on. You can do it.
Treat me like a fool. Treat me mean and cruel. But love me.
All right. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I love it. Thank you.
So
now
yeah,
about the book. And
back.
thank you.
Of course. Back to the writings. It's not a book yet. and I want to pick your brain too.
Okay, do you have a title that you're thinking of?
I have a few, but
All right, go
nothing
ahead.
I want to necessarily
All right.
say.
Okay.
Not that it's bad, I just
Yeah.
don't know. So back to what we talked about earlier. I had been journaling, and when I was a kid too, I would write little stuff, like little stories, but I never took it serious. Fast forward, going through the stuff I went through, and thinking to myself, wow, I have some interesting stories, things that I experienced in uniform, and it's never the blood and guts kind of running and gunning. It's the funny, silly things that happen in police world. Many people don't realize cops are some of the funniest people that you meet. The things that we witness, it almost felt like, for those of you that are interested in the Seinfeld, it's like a show about
greatest show
nothing,
on
but
earth.
it's something.
That's right.
It's all these little vignettes of human behavior and how they kind of interact and intersect. That's how it was with the police department.
I bet.
So I have this visual recollection of these experiences that I said, you know what? I'm going to start writing about them. And I realized that while I started to kind of get in deeper with this advocacy for mental wellness for first responders, I saw this TED Talk where they talked about PTSD for the military and how they use story therapy. I said, wow. I said, this could be applied with law enforcement.
Yeah.
I started writing these stories, and I'm up to 14 now. Ideally, for this first go around, I want to do 23 to in the memory of the 23 officers that were initially passed at 9/11. 23 New York City police officers initially died on 9/11. So that's kind of why I say 23, and I'm at 14, so I'm close. I don't have a working title. I'm considering going the self-publishing route, but the reason is, A, I want to prove to myself that I can do it. It was something always on my bucket list, but B, to use it as a conversation piece, to start a conversation. I've shared these stories with a bunch of people already here and there, and even people that aren't police or law enforcement, and they pick up on the that human condition piece. And it's not about me. I have a friend who's a published author. He was actually in the police department. We didn't work together, but he worked at the 6th precinct prior to me getting there. And he's an author, and I run things by him. And he's paid me some of the nicest compliments by saying, he said, I love that, A, you have a voice, and it's hard to come by. But then he said, B, he said, you don't talk about yourself like the hero of the story. He said, I pick up a book like that, I put it right down. I use self-deprecating humor. I'm not the guy that comes on the white horse all the time. Sometimes it's something where I messed up, or
We like hearing that stuff
I'm
too.
scared.
Yeah,
This is a
yeah.
situation where I was scared and I didn't know how it was going to go, or just something that just happened to work out by no skill of my own, And then there's these other just interactions with some. I'm writing a story now, and it touches on the uniform and how I took pride in that. And I was a rookie police officer. I was 3 months out, and I was working. Madonna had a party. She was coming out with her erotica album, and she came out with that book, Sex. It was in tandem with the album, and it was very controversial. I was a police officer for 3 months. We were assigned to that.
Wait, you met her?
She walked by me.
Oh,
I met some other celebrities.
yeah, very cool.
I met Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I met Ray Dawn Chong,
Yeah.
Billy Idol. Anyway, I share all this
Cool.
because I talk about the uniform, the power it possesses, but also the um, I'm trying to say it the right way, the presence that it carries. And even though these are people that we all know, their household names, there have been times when they need the police too.
That's right.
And that stuff goes out the window.
That's right.
So finding that balance between being a fan yourself and being professional to do the job.
Okay.
So now this story ties into all of that, but here it is. I'm 3 months out of the police academy. I'm still trying to figure this thing out. And now I'm meeting all these people. Like, I'm a gatekeeper in front of this building in the meat market section of the West Village, and all the paparazzi's there, and all this crazy wild stuff is happening, and I'm this kid. So the funny thing is, I was going online to look for some background to make sure I had my dates right. I have my memo book from the day, and I actually have the date, and it says Madonna party.
That's too cool.
So I go online and just type in random on Google. Jerry, you're not going to believe it. A video pops up. I'm on the video.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I never saw this until 2 days ago when I was just doing a little more background for this particular story. I showed my kids last night at dinner. It's my birthday yesterday, and they were cracking up. I'm 23-year-old kid.
So you have it saved.
I have it.
All
I
right,
have
good.
it. I have it. The technology's not as good as it is today.
Right,
It
but
was a
so
little
what?
grainy, but it's me.
Who cares?
And the Hulk Hogan thing was interesting because, he just passed, and I was like a wrestling fan as a kid, but now I'm in police uniform, and I say something to him to kind of put the screws to him a little. And I know he didn't care for it, and he probably could have broke me like a twig, but he kept his composure. But it was pretty funny. So little things like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we have a few minutes left. All right. So why don't we do this then? Listen, I want to read a poem out of my book, and then I'm going to give the mic back to you. So this was the real poem that I was going to read.
Oh, yeah.
All right. It's called Utilizing Gifts and Talents, and that's what you're doing. Okay?
Thank you.
The reason why I wrote this poem is because there's a lot of people out there who question their self-worth, and they think they don't have anything to offer. Everybody has something to offer. You got to figure out what it is, guys, and utilize it. What would we do without sanitation workers? Okay, think about that. I would go crazy, right? So everybody has something to offer. If you're struggling with that, please listen to every word of this poem. We are born with talents. We are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry, and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used. God's gift to us, not be abused. We can go far in life for sure, using our gifts to go on tour. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them, to even up the score. You see, in life, what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living you can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. So don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. Our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. Go through life enlightened, then you can roar. Be proud of who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, your name, Vince Scotto, baby, will live forever, forever and a day.
Wow.
So go through life excited for what you sure can give to yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. So make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. And that's what you're doing, kiddo.
That's very nice of
You're
you.
saving
Thank you.
lives. You're saving lives.
So the reality is this. Even when you put yourself out there, right, what you've done, what you're doing, you still have those moments where, what am I doing? You feel frustrated because maybe you don't see the results. And I've had those moments. But then I'm reminded by your poem, by being here today, I take that step back and I think, even if there's one person,
That's right.
even if it's someone that we speak to after we say goodbye today, maybe something I said resonated with you and vice
Yep.
versa. Maybe something we said to each other we share with someone else. So I have to remind myself of that, and I appreciate that reminder. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really mean that. It's very important, and it invigorates me to be here and take the time to have these conversations, to lean in more. Because, to your point, we all have some value. We might not know it, it might not be clear. And I'm not saying that, oh, I have it all figured out. I know exactly what my next step is. I am just me. This is how I am. I don't want to say I fly by the seat of my pants, but I have to feel the passion.
Me too.
And I like to goof around. I
Me
like to be
too.
silly. I could put the Vince Scotto show on. Make no mistake about it.
Yep.
But that's not this. Off air, I'll joke with you. I'll tease. I'll be
Sing
silly.
Elvis,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I mean.
yeah. But
He wants to. Look, he wants
I do.
to.
I do.
know,
I wish
can
my
tell.
voice was
I
good.
can tell.
Believe
Your
me.
voice is good.
Yeah, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's not EP.
it's so funny,
It's not
though.
EP worthy. Yeah. In my mind, I'm putting on
There
that
you go,
performance.
baby. There you go.
Yeah. I'm channeling.
I can see.
But seriously, I feel that you mentioned gifts. I feel that for some reason there was intention behind what I had to deal with. To be a person, to be part of helping others like myself. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't do this for other people, but I'm even more passionate about the people that are wearing the uniform. Because
I understand.
as we sit here, I know beyond the shadow of a doubt, there are people in this profession that are having these conversations with themselves and questioning things and are struggling with things. And I would like to be able to reach them in any way that I can, to be part of those that are putting that work in, to help them, to let them know, you're not alone. And that gets overused too, but it's important that because it is a
Very
lonely,
important.
it is lonely when you're getting ready to go to bed and those demons come, whatever they might be for you, and that negative self-talk. So one of the things I like to say, and this is just, I think you'll appreciate this, we're so programmed to focus on the negative, on what can happen in the negative. That's debilitating. I want to talk about, how do we get on the offensive side of things? How do we become our own best coach? How do we learn to coach ourselves, knowing we're imperfect, knowing it's not all sunshine and rainbow, so to speak, but that we can get past that? And I have that conversation with myself every day, right? And I think if anyone is being honest with themselves, when you look in the mirror, you do have that conversation. But the key is to look at that person and make peace with that person. How'd I do
Right.
today?
Right.
Did I mess up? Okay. I need to wipe the slate clean and try to be my better self, right? Maybe you did get it right. Give yourself that praise.
That's right.
Not saying you hang on your laurels, but I don't know about you, Jerry, but I am my own worst critic. Some people might beg to differ. They might be more critical of me, but
Okay.
I feel like I could be tough on myself.
I'm not tough on myself anymore.
Good.
I'm going to share this with you real quick. Oh, and remind me, I have a gift for you.
Really?
Oh, really cool. 2 cards. Okay, remind me. Please
Okay,
don't leave
thank you.
without them.
I think I might know.
Okay, you might. Oh, it's not Elvis.
But is it a poker chip?
No. Okay, I could have made you one. All right. So anyway, my motto for the longest time now, my father used to go crazy. He would say, 'cause I took chances with everything and anything in my life. You have no idea what I've done to that poor man. And his motto was, well, what if this happened? And my motto is, yeah, but what if this could happen? So I've always tried to be that
That's good.
person. Um, but, you know, all right, real quick, I want to give you the mic back for 5 more minutes. I want you to look into the camera, and I want you to give everybody out there listening a little bit of hope.
So the the best thing I could say, coming from a place of what I feel was the end for me, and I not trying to be dramatic, but as I'm sitting here, I could recall that time when I didn't want to be here, and it's a terrible thing to say, but I'm not embarrassed by it because that's what it was like. That's how it felt. And I did not know how to get myself out of that place. Anyone that knew me from the outside, they're hearing this, unless they were with me and going through it, wouldn't believe it because I didn't portray that on the outside. But I was crumbling on the inside. And I wasn't prepared for that. And mind you, I am not blaming anyone for that. I take full ownership for allowing myself to get to that place. Someone had told me that I was this rock that got whittled down into a pebble. And that was when I was starting to come out of my dark place through the help of people in my life that got me situated with medication, with group and one-on-one therapy to help me acquire the tools to help myself. I didn't have those tools, and even now, are there times when, yeah, I get a little frustrated about something, or I get a little sad or melancholy, or I question, where am I going? But now I can catch myself. Now I can press pause. I could say, okay, what's the reality here? Is it what you're just saying is happening? Is that really happening? Or is there more to it? And when I realize, like even in this journey with mental wellness, I could say, I'm not making a dent. But then I think, I've been on X amount of radio shows, X amount of podcasts. I've been writing. I am taking these next steps in the direction of making a difference. And then I could stop and say, okay, maybe it's not to the speed you want to be doing it at, but you are making a difference. So whatever it is for you, have the honest conversation, make peace with your past. So there was this country song, and it keeps coming back into my head. The past doesn't define me, it refines me. Meaning, yesterday is gone. Whatever we did that we weren't proud of or we messed up, make peace with it. Don't push it under the rug, acknowledge it, but then figure out ways to get past it. And sometimes it's okay to ask other people you trust to help you on that journey.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you go. So I want to thank you for honoring me here today.
Oh, thank you, Geri.
Honestly,
Very fun.
amazing. This guy, again, he's a hero. Thank you for all your service. And thank you for the service you're doing now.
I appreciate that.
This is so important. Guys, please share this show. If need be, reach out.
Please.
Reach out to me. I could get you in touch with this guy. All right. Again, Karen, thank you, girl. We love you. Producer, take us out with my new closing show AI theme song. Here we go.
Welcome to the stage where stories untold candid moments captured, memories unfold. Gary's got the vibes, a soothing flow. Come sit back, relax, let the good times glow. Jazz in the air, let it take you away. Welcome to the Geri Petito Show, where every heartbeat and every note flow. Jazz melodies weaving through the night. Together we'll shine, everything feels right. Deep conversations where the heart finds a voice. Together we laugh, sometimes we rejoice. Tales of adventure, the rhythms embrace. In each note a journey, feel the space. Step into the light, let the music. Welcome to the Geri Petito Show, where every heartbeat and every note flow. Jazz melodies weaving through the night. Together we'll shine, everything feels right. So tune in now, let the magic start. Geri's podcast, a place for your art.